and welcome. And today we are going to continue our subject as we did from last week. We talked about the spirit of kindness. And today we're going into the practical aspect of the spirit of kindness. So I'd like to start by telling you a little story. Because, sometimes when we think of kindness, we have a very narrow view of kindness. And last week I also told you it is really important to be kind to yourself. Because if you're not kind to yourself, how on earth are you going to be kind to anybody else? So we have misconstrued ideas about what kindness is. So this is how the story goes. There was this sadhu, which means a holy man, living in the forest. And every day he would go to the village to ask for food, because that's what sadhus do in India, and the village people feed them. So one day while he was there, he saw there was a crippled fox who had been hurt very close to where he was sleeping in the forest. So he looked at the fox and he thought, oh my God, he's crippled, what should I do? And suddenly he heard an animal coming through the forest, so he got really quite panicky. He ran up and climbed up this tree. And when he looked down, he saw this huge lion coming with a piece of meat in his mouth and then going to the fox and feeding the fox. He's shocked at this because he thought that he would gobble the fox up or something, but instead he fed the fox. The lion went away and he came down off the tree and he thought, this has happened because I need to learn something from it. The divine universe is telling me, giving me a lesson. What is that lesson? And then he thought, and he said, I know what that lesson is. That lesson is I should be like the fox. I shouldn't worry about going to the village every day and getting food. Look at the fox. He's fed. He doesn't doubt. He's not worried and he gets fed. So I'm not going to go to the village anymore. And let's see how God feeds me, how the divine will feed me. So what happens? He waits. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. Nobody comes to feed him. Then he goes and he prays and he said, God, you give me a sign. You gave me this message, so now I'm listening to you. Why don't you feed me? Just then, another sadhu was passing through the forest. And the sadhu says to him, what are you doing? You look so disturbed. What is a sadhu like you getting so disturbed? So he said, I need to ask your opinion. This is what happened to me, and I'm sure it was a sign. But if it was a sign, then the divine also answers these signs. And the sadhu started laughing. He said, absolutely, it was a sign, but you read it totally wrong. And he goes, how should I have read it? He said, simple. Your job is to be like the lion. Instead of going and begging every day for food, your job as a sadhu is to be like the lion. You should be feeding everybody every day instead of begging. You have all this knowledge, you live in the forest, and you feed no one. So that was the lesson. Many times in our life, we think, okay, I'm meditating, I'm studying, I'm learning, so I'm kind, I can be kind. But actually, we miss the point. We miss the real point. All the scriptures talk about God as omniscience, omnipresent, here, now, in everyone, in everything. It's kind of like the story of the two boys. One boy asked the little boy, I'll give you an apple if you tell me where God is. And the other boy answers, I will give you 2 apples if you tell me where God is not. Where God is not. So it is everywhere. And when we talk about kindness, it's about humanity. It's about service. It's about love. It's about sharing. But sometimes we get so caught up with how it should look that we lose the point. So we think we have a little bit spiritual knowledge, everybody should look after us. No. We have the spiritual knowledge. It is up to us to look after everybody else. job to care for our brothers and sisters, those who don't have the energy, those who are sad, those who don't have the hope, and who don't believe in spirit and are so lost. It is up to us to be the examples. When I say to look after, in the Bhagavad Gita, again, it stresses very clearly. The wise will not disturb the minds of the unwise, but instead teach them by example. We are not here to convert. We're not a religion. We're far from religious, but we include religion because we include everything. We are spirit, and in spirit it's called energy. And this energy, let me tell you what the Gita talks about this energy, and then you'll know what I mean by being kind. Kind first with ourselves. What do we have to do practically? So this is the practical practice. In the Gita, chapter 16, Sri Krishna tells his disciple Arjuna which are the qualities to develop personally in oneself. These are the qualities we need to develop before we can even connect with the higher source. We don't develop these qualities, we don't connect with the higher source, our kindness would be a bit of a hypocrisy, because we won't know how to be kind to ourselves. And we won't know how to be kind to anybody else. So this is what he says. The Blessed Lord said, Arjuna, these are the qualities of one who will attain a divine state. Fearlessness. I always say, on this path, you can't be like a sheep. You have to be like that lion. You have to be brave. People will pull you down. They will make fun of you when you talk about spirit, because people want us to be so material that we get absorbed in the earth and we forget we are spirit. So we can be manipulated by material, by anything that people tell us. And this is why on the spiritual path, we need fearlessness. A pure thinking heart. What is a pure thinking heart? Don't waste your time gossiping and judging people. That's just a waste of energy. Your heart should be clean every day. This is the practice. May my every thought, word, and deed be a mantra. May my every thought, word, and deed be a mantra. Negative thoughts will come and go. This is human. We will all have negative thoughts. If you think you can wipe them away, not possible, because the mind is a mirror. It lives in this world and it will have good and bad thoughts. The secret is to keep it pure. When bad negative thoughts come up, recognize them and let them go. They don't do anything for me. And just let them go. We get too serious with our negative thoughts. Don't do anything about them. Just let them come and let them go. And then your heart will be a pure thinking heart. And it mentions here, heart. Heart. Did you see? This is the secret. To work from your heart. And when you think working from your heart, what do you think? What word comes to mind? What word?
Gratitude, love.
Love, gratitude, thank you. Those are the words that come to mind. Pure thinking heart. Gratitude, love. In order to feel love, you have to have someone or something to love, correct? So people are so useful to us, aren't they? They all give themselves for us to love them. Otherwise, where will we be? Animals do the same. Nature does the same. It gives all its divine beauty for us to love, 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 and that awakens our heart. And this is where the focus should be. Stay on the yoga path of wisdom. Be wise. No matter what happens. No matter what happens, things will go wrong in life. Guaranteed. They will also go right. Guaranteed. Stay on the path. Don't fear. Always giving generously. Giving generously. Don't worry about giving. Nothing is ours anyway, is it? We can take nothing when we go. So give. Give generously, but give wisely also. Because the Bhagavad Gita also talks about who not to give gifts to and who not to give things to, but we're not going to cover that today. This is not the subject today. So, control of the senses. What drives you crazy? What drives us all crazy? Our own senses. Oh, I have to eat this today. Oh, I need so much love, otherwise I won't be happy. Oh, I have to have this, otherwise I won't be happy. It's all senses, all outside. So, when the senses do that, I have to have this, just relax, relax. Like my master always said to me, Nalanie, it's not what you want or what you don't want. These thoughts will come. Just do and relax. So control of the senses. A life of self-sacrifice. What does it self-sacrifice mean? In the Western tradition, it's very much misunderstood. Sacrifice is not a nice word. For me, what is self-sacrifice is when you give up your time, maybe instead of partying, you want to meditate. You give up your time, maybe going on the beach, and you go and feed somebody who doesn't have food. This is self-sacrifice. If you make time for your family instead of, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. No, my children need me, and today I'm going to devote time. This is self-sacrifice. Not the horrible thing we have the Westerners put on it. Self-sacrifice is very, very beautiful. Sacrificing the ego to get something far greater, far greater, far greater. The individual ego is the one that wants something for itself. I want, I need, I have to have. This selfless one is, I have everything I need. So gratitude is one of the most incredible practices of kindness. It is a practical way to be kind. When you practice gratitude and you are grateful, you have no other choice but to love everybody and be kind to everyone, because you see why you're fulfilled. When you are fulfilled, when the bowl is filled, you want to feed everybody else. But when you are not fulfilled, you cannot feed anybody. You cannot look after anybody. Okay? So, a desire to study scriptures, well, you all know that. Acceptance of austerities. Acceptance that things do go wrong. You do get hurt. There's death. There's pain. There's disease. There are people who are not very nice in this world. Accept them. This is the way it is. Accept them. Accept them. Straightforwardness. This is one of my favorite ones. Direct. Be direct. Don't be a hypocrite. Oh, you're so nice, and I can't stand you. You don't like something, you tell somebody nicely. It's kindness. It's kindness to tell people nicely. So, and be straightforward. Not causing pain to others. Truthfulness. Try not to get angry. Always peaceful. So hum. The sound of the breath. The sound of life. I'm alive. So hum. So always peaceful. And renunciation of the fruits of your actions. Do, be, expect nothing in return. If you get something in return, wow, I'm so grateful. Wow, this is a bonus. When you expect nothing in return, you're not disappointed. You're not disappointed. So whatever we do, we should do from a place of love. If we do from a place, oh, I have to do it because I want to look nice, I want to people please, you will always be disappointed. You will always be disappointed. So do something and just because you want to. And if you don't want to, don't do it. Be kind to yourself. I always say yoga was one of the best things that happened to me when I came on this path, because I could never say no. I could never say no to people. Can do this. And then I'd go home and get so angry and a bad temper, exhausted, because I couldn't say no. Now, I can say no. I can, and I do say no when I am exhausted. And sometimes I am exhausted and I say yes, but that's because I'm so excited to do it that I don't feel the exhaustion. That's why I have Les telling me, now you need to rest. Because it doesn't feel like I'm exhausted, so he puts me, then I go, yeah, you know, you're right. I'm tired. I hadn't realized. But yes, we need to not exhaust ourselves. But when I don't want to do something, I say no. Many times I say no. So, and I don't feel bad because I'm not saying no to be negative. I'm saying no because I'm respecting what I really want to do with my life. I don't want to waste time on nonsense. I can't. It's too short. Like I said, don't you feel the days are going too quick? Mm-hmm. So I cannot waste a single moment on something that is not meaningful to me. So no, if it's not meaningful, I'd rather not do it. So we need to face that about ourselves too. Not speaking falsely or maliciously of others. Compassion for all beings. Not wanting what others have. Not coveting what others have. What does that mean? Before I started on this path of yoga, and many people I know, it was always, this person has that, I wish I had that. Jealousy, a lot of jealousy. A lot of jealousy. I still face a lot of jealousy. And jealousy is not good for the person who feels it. It's a horrible feeling. When I used to feel jealous in the old days before I started this path, I didn't like myself. Isn't that a horrible feeling? It doesn't sit well in your abdomen. I used to have a lot of stomach cramps, and that was because it was jealousy. I didn't call it jealousy. I just, I didn't know it was jealousy. I didn't know I had such a strong emotion. And then when I started to meditate, I could see that certain things triggered a discomfort in my ego realm. And then I realized, and I analyzed myself, and I went, that's not good. That's coming from a place of jealousy. So what did I learn to do? The people that I was jealous of, and basically they were people who were very intelligent, because I love a brilliant mind. And now I've learned in all these years that many people who do have brilliant minds suffer a lot. They suffer a lot. So I got to know them. I got to make friends with them, to learn from them. And when I changed my attitude and thought how exciting, I can learn something new, then the jealousy went. And then I also saw the truth, because sometimes when people are so intelligent, they have a huge ego. And again, they suffer a lot. They suffer a lot. When people don't listen to them or they're not heard, they get into really bad tempers and moods. And I thought to myself, was I really jealous of that? What for? What a waste of energy. So when you come to terms with yourself and learn from your own mind, you become your best psychologist. And then you don't criticize that. You become kind to yourself by letting these things go and renewing what the real you is. The real you is spirit, right? So all these things here, Sri Krishna tells us, these are the things we can develop to connect with that spirit. So he's giving us the medicine, like St. Francis gave us the medicine. It's the medicine. And we keep diverting, we keep going out of it. We can be told 1,000 times and we'll still be going out there. So this is why it's so important to repeat it yourself in your mind every day. So even if you go home and read these 3 sutras, chapter 16, Bhagavad Gita, Living Gita from Swami Satchidananda, verse 1, 2, and 3. The verses are called slokas. Alright? And just read them every day. And he'll remind you. That's what I did in my early days. I repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat till it becomes part of you. That's my study of spiritual books. It becomes part of you. Because if you don't get it from the outside world, you have to get it yourself. The other day I was speaking to Daniela and she said something very beautiful. She said, I keep little books in my bag, so whenever my mind goes off, I read and then I do 3 deep breaths and I'm okay. And I said, you got it? It's that simple. Do you see? The practice is that simple. Don't complicate it. Don't try to make it too crazy. I have to open 7 chakras before I can find God. Yes, of course you do, but you don't have to force it. Just by doing these practices, Kundalini raises by itself. And not only does it raise by itself, it is safe. My master said to me many times, Nalanie, be careful in this world. People will tell you, go fast, astral projection, do this, do that, do this mudra, do that pranayama. And he said, yes, of course it will help you, but better than all of it is Tyaga, which is non-attachment, letting go, renouncing, the fruit of your actions. He said, that is important. And when you are ready, God will use you. When you are ready, the chakras will flow. You force it. You force these energies in the body and there will be trouble. I remember this so clearly because, and I'm so grateful that he taught me this. Because then when I went to India soon after, there were many gurus. I went on a pilgrimage with my dad. My dad is a solid man, doesn't do any of this stuff, right? He just listens to pure thinking. So we went to this ashram and I was told by this guru, let me open your kundalini, I give you Shakti. And I go, no thanks, I have a master. And even saying that to me made me feel something like, ugh, I felt a bit ill. I don't know why. Instincts, I think it was instincts. I felt nauseated. I said, no thanks. But there was a huge queue of people wanting it. And then after that, I saw a couple of them go crazy. I mean, literally, mentally crazy. They weren't ready. And you force an opening. Why would you want to do that? Okay, so be careful in your spiritual practice. Let it come from you. Let God open the divine in you. And there is such a simple way to practice. Of course, when we read Sri Patanjali Book 3, which talks about all the siddhis, all the great gifts we get. Oh, if you practice focusing on the nadi of the throat, you will receive this, and you'll see earths and suns and moons, and you'll know the workings of the body. Everybody wants a siddhi. But right after he tells you all this, he says, be careful of all these siddhis, because they will sidetrack you. These powers will build up your ego, and you're not here for that because the ego stays behind. It stays behind when you go. And then you have to come another life to sort that. So he said, these powers will come to you and you will use them when it's necessary. But if they come to you too quickly, you'll be blinded by them. As I told last week, the story of Ramakrishna's disciple who spent 12 years just to walk across the river. So he did lots of pranayama practice. And his master said to him, I pay 1 rupee and I get across in 1 minute. So you see, you have to ask yourself, what is your goal? Do you want to, oh, that's a miracle? Or do you want to be the miracle? Do you want to live in that energy field? 12 years just to cross the river. You died, there's no need for that. But 12 years you spend finding your peace, you live a beautiful life. You live a beautiful life. It's a big difference. So then he says, practice gentleness, modesty, never fickle, full of vigor, have energy in your life. Energy, you need energy. We need energy. And that's where the pranayama practices are good. And this is where the hatha yoga practices are good, because it gives us the energy. It works on our body systems, all the different systems of our body. And pranayama does build up your energy. Why? Simply you're taking more oxygen, so you need more oxygen. So some pranayama practices, some hatha yoga practices, and all these, and that's all you really need, and meditation, of course. So full of vigor, always forgiving, courageous in adversity. When things go wrong, have courage, No hatred towards anyone, and never puffed up with pride. Oh, you know how good I am. Yeah, good for you. One day up, next day down. That's what pride does. You know what they say? Pride before a Oh, it's a very famous saying. So watch out for that pride. And these are the characteristics, Arjuna, of a man or woman destined for a divine life. Destined. There's no doubt about it. Your life will be divine. It's a long list. Take one and practice one. That's all you have to do. Take one and practice one. And your life, you watch it change. You watch it change. And that is the practical work of kindness. If you really want to be kind to the world and you want to live and serve humanity, start with yourself. So ask yourself, what's blocking me? What is stopping me? And then be kind to yourself. Once you understand the psychology of your own mind and your own emotions, then you will understand the psychology of other minds and other emotions. Then you will understand that everything painful that has happened to you is only to teach you, to push you further forward into spirit. There was not a God that was cruel to you. You were cruel to yourself. You were unkind to yourself because your mind went everywhere. If you really love yourself, spend some time with you, and then you will want to spend time with everybody else and share whatever you have with everybody else. So the spirit of kindness, to be practical. Look at these points in your life. Keep a little diary. When you meditate, watch what comes up. Like I said, never beat yourself up over a negative thought. Ask why, like I did with the jealousy one. I played with it. I was the subject of myself. I wanted to heal myself, as we all do. So when you look within, I see I lose control when this happens. I see I'm very controlling. Maybe I'm too bossy. So the next time you're about to tell people what to do, you just swallow. Restrain. Yogas, chitta, vritti, nirodha. The restraints of the modification of the mind stuff is yoga. Hold back a bit. And while you're holding back a bit, so that you don't repress it, but you work with it, do a mantra. Or think of something beautiful. Holding back. Think of something enlightening. Okay, I'm going to think about this scene from Big Bang Theory. Penny. It makes me laugh, right? So what happens to that anger? It dissolves. It just dissolves. In the beginning, when you're working with yourself, to replace, as Sri Patanjali says, pratipaksha bhavana, which is replacing a negative thought with a positive, opposite positive. So many times when we have a negative thought, we're unkind to ourselves. Don't have this thought. Why did you have this thought? There you go again. Why do you do that? No, opposite. Give it a kind thought. That's not me. And think of something enlightening, and get your energy up and awaken that warmth in your heart again. So the spirit of kindness is much deeper than we all think. Also, today in psychology, we talk about tough love. I find that people are too weak these days. They're not strong enough. And when something is wrong, they don't have the courage to tell their children or their partner the truth. They live in fear. And tough love is a great kindness. And I'll give you another little story so that you can understand it fully, what I mean. Well, there was this woman, and she had an affair with this man and had a child. And because the man was married, he just ran away and didn't want to have anything to do with her. So she had this guilt all her life that she brought this son into the world without a father. And the father didn't want to know this son. So as the son was growing up, she did everything for this boy, everything. So whenever he wanted anything, she'd work so hard to buy him everything he wanted, to give him the best life possible, as a mother would. So when he's 4 years old, he goes to school. And of course, He's so used to getting everything. So he goes to his friend's desk and gets his pencil, thinking it belongs to him. So there is a fight. The teacher calls the mother, and the son comes home, and the mother goes, "Oh no, my son is really a good boy. He's really a good boy." Well, it's just a pencil. And then she tells the son, don't worry, just a pencil, just give it back. So this goes on throughout his life. And he challenges more and more. He starts stealing now and bringing it home. No, my son, you're not a thief. I'm sure somebody gave this to you. So constantly to ease her own guilt. You see, deep inside is this deep-rooted guilt, which she herself didn't understand. So he murdered somebody, ended up in death row. And when he was there in death row, obviously locked in a cell for months, he had a lot of time to think. And he didn't want to see his mother. His mother used to come and visit him. No, I can't see her. I don't want to see her. And she used to cry. So one day before he was to die, the mother was outside begging the guard, please, I want to see my son. And the guard went, why are you so cruel? Your mother is so kind to you. She brings you food, she brings you this, and you always say no. You don't take anything. Why are you so cruel to your beautiful mother? He said, I'm not cruel to her. She never corrected me as a child. She never taught me right from wrong. Everything I did, no matter how bad, she told me I was right. She told me I was good. And because of her today, I'm going to be killed. I'm going to be dead. If she had only taught me, I would not be in this situation. So that's another thing one has to look at when you're thinking kindness. Remember, weakness is not goodness. Please remember that. That's why they talk about, all the great ones speak about courage, strength, truthfulness, be brave. Sometimes it's very hard. So kindness. I'm giving you some examples because I want you to watch. You see, scriptures are written not to read. They are written for us to live. So reading a scripture does not make you kind, does not make you whole. You can read a beautiful book or watch wonderful videos, one after another. But unless you apply them to your life, you will not grow because you are just taking, but you are not using. You are not using your body to use these instruments that you are learning. You're just learning but not absorbing it in. In order to make this grow, you practically have to do the work yourself. Healing comes from deep within. As Carl Jung said, he said if people really want to heal, they cannot really totally heal till they connect with their super consciousness, what we call the world of causal world. Body, mind, spirit, and this is physical, astral, and causal. Unless we touch that consciousness, that power station that we call the divine or we call God, it's a power station. So if we connect with that power station, then we can grow. And everything negative takes us away from that power station. And going back to the very simple story that I often tell, and this will be the last one, and then we'll close the talk for today. It's the story of the two wolves. Some of you know this really well, but I'm going to tell it again. The grandfather has his two grandchildren. Children, do you know that in your mind there lives two wolves? Really, grandfather? Yeah. And guess what? They're always battling with each other. Really, grandfather? Why? Well, we have one wolf which is arrogant, aggressive, angry all the time, greedy, lustful, all the things you can think about that's not good. And the other wolf is kind, loving, gentle, sweet, generous. grandfather, which wolf wins? Ah, the one you feed most. Yeah. So watch your mind. What are you feeding? It's very easy for the mind to go into this chatter and this story, and we don't even realize it's so cunning, our mind. This is why it's so necessary to practice kindness. When you are kind to yourself, the mind doesn't like it very much. So the battle is within us. The whole of the outer battle in the Gita represents our inner battle. Always, constantly. And what the yoga path is to make that arrogant voice, that greedy voice, that needy voice, that victim voice, softer and softer and softer and softer. And how do we do that? By working on the other stuff, the good stuff, the good things that are you, the good gifts that you have been given, the wonderful gifts that you have been given. Use those more, and those will disappear. That's how you do it. That is the battle. And how will you win the battle? Like Arjuna. He had God on his side. And why did he have God on his side? This power station, this energy field, whatever you want to call it? Because he lived with those virtues. So you see, the whole Gita is really very simple. Our lives are really very simple. We complicate it. We complicate it with low self-esteem. We complicate it with arrogance. We complicate it with control. You can control nothing except this, if you want. And that is again our choice. If you want, you don't have to. But enjoy your life then. But if you do, there's a magical world that opens up to us. Yeah, work on ourselves, and this is our job. This is our job. And this is practicality. The practical work of the spirit of kindness. And simple things, love every day, be kind every day. Think I'll do one good deed for everybody every day. Every day, one good thing for somebody every day. That's so simple to do. That is just so simple to do. Once you do one, you'll be addicted. So, and then it'll become natural, then it'll become part of you. So be practical, apply the great truths. Namaste, namaste, namaste.